The story that I'm about to talk about is not a story that is coming out of a war-torn third world country where disease is rampant and there's no clean drinking water. This is coming from the most powerful country on the face of the planet, the United States of America, and in the city of Flint, Michigan, 100,000 residents, when they turn on their tap water, the water that comes out looks like piss. And this is due to gross government mismanagement where for $100 a day, they could have added in additives which would have prevented lead from getting into the water going into people's houses. You know, $100, that's literally less than the price of an NBA ticket. But due to just corruption and just utter disregard for human life, fuck it. You know, they just, hey, 100,000 people, we saved $100 a day. I mean, that's so disgusting. I mean, and now that city is in a state of emergency because people can't drink water from their tap. I mean, that's terrible. And the safe level of lead in water is 0 parts per billion. And when it becomes of concern is 5 parts per billion. And in Flint, Michigan, 1 in 5 houses is above the federal level, and it's around. And then I think they said it's like an average around 100 parts per billion in the city of Flint, Michigan. And in one house in particular, they found the lead in the water to be so high, it was 13,000 parts per billion. Now, I hope that that person doesn't even, put their hands in the water because that's so freaking high. And then this isn't, the Congo or Syria or whatever. This is the United States of America where we have the resources, but we choose not to fix problems that should be, something that should be simple. Clean drinking water, electricity that is, or electrical grid that function properly. I mean, just basic stuff. Making sure bridges don't collapse. I mean, that should be stuff that should be some of the basic stuff that we take care of. But no, in the United States, that's not how we roll, and that's pretty pathetic. Now, so what happened with this was in the city of Flint, they were getting their water from Detroit, and Detroit was getting it from Lake Huron or whatever, and so they were basically paying a toll to use the water from Detroit. And to save money, the city of Flint decided to go with some sort of county water company where they would have used the water from this other source, and they would have saved money instead of being paid, or purchasing water from Detroit at a higher price. And there was a huge, argument between Flint and Detroit because Detroit didn't want them, not using their water. And what happened was they basically cut off the supply before they were able to switch over to the other water company. And I mean, that's pretty effed up on Detroit's part, but they're pulling in water from the Flint River, and they could have prevented this lead poisoning from happening because they could have added $100 for $100 a day. They could have added in these additives, which would have prevented the water from the Flint River, which is corrosive to the piping, and it would have prevented the lead from getting into people's water supply that people use for drinking, bathing, whatever. And they chose not to use it, even though it's federally mandated. So they should at least get in fucking trouble for that. And the really sad part about this story is not only in the here and now where people don't have clean drinking water, but then the long-term effects to lead exposure or elevated lead in the bloodstream, which is irreversible. It will cause learning disabilities. It will cause birth defects. It will cause behavioral issues. I mean, one of the reasons that we as a society have cut down on our overall violent crime rate and one of the theories was because we were able to get rid of a lot of the lead in a lot of products. I mean, everything used to have lead in it in some way, shape, or form. And, a lot of researchers have come up and said that, lead affects the brain into having developmental issues. So when you have 3 times the rate of children being exposed to lead over a very short time or time frame or whatever, then I mean that will affect for decades, if not the rest of these people's lives. All for $100 a fucking day. I mean, that's just pisses me off, man. And whoever is responsible for this needs to be put into prison. Because I'm hearing stories of people saying that they knew, but they chose not to act. And when you are an elected official, people entrust you with making sure that we are safe, you know, and they failed us with just utter disregard. And I think that whoever, you know, did this intentionally needs to be in fucking prison. Period. And that's all I have to say.